Today I'm going to talk to you about the 10 steps that I use to revise from a revision letter using real life examples from my own books. Hey everyone, my name is Caitlin Duncan and I am a traditionally published author and ghostwriter. I started publishing books in 2013, so I have received a lot of feedback from multiple editors and critique partners based on my work. So this can be a little daunting when you receive a letter of 5, 6, 7, etc. pages about your manuscript and you have no idea where to start. So over the years, I've done a lot of research on how to revise a book based on other people's experiences, and I sort of created this mashup of ideas that really work for me. The entire revising process can be so overwhelming, and I am a compulsive list maker, so I find my easiest way to do it is to break down the process into manageable chunks. Step number 1, receive the letter. Now I'm going to stop you right there. When you get that email, or if you're still doing snail mail, that's fine too. When you get the letter, do not open it right away. Maybe do a little happy dance because you're finally getting feedback. Grab your favorite drink or food of choice and really get into an excited mood because you're about to have your heart ripped out of your chest. Now, after you've done all that, move on to step number 2 and read the letter from top to bottom without stopping. You will most likely go from here to here, or maybe lower, once you've gotten to the meat of the critique of your book. Step number 3, once you've done reading that letter, close the email, turn over that sheet of paper, and walk away. With all of my letters, I tend to go through the 5 stages of grief until I make my way toward acceptance, and then I can finally move on. Depending on where I am in the process and what deadlines I'm working with, I give myself a specific amount of time to distance myself from my critique. In that time, I will do anything but look at the book. And from what I've heard and read about this process, so many authors go through this. So if you are feeling down about a revision letter or notes from your critique partner, don't fear that you are the only one going through it, because you are not. After you've reached your deadline or the day that you want to dive back into revising, we're moving on to step number 4, which is break down that letter. Most good edit or critique letters will adopt the sandwich method. So the first slice of bread on that sandwich is positive feedback. Here is an example from the second book in the Sister Secret trilogy, which is taken directly from my edit letter. I enjoyed returning to the Burrow and catching up with your wonderful cast of characters, as well as meeting some new ones. You've created a really strong, though emotionally complex, character in Reen. She's ultimately an independent woman finding her way in life and going on a journey of discovery about herself. Nice, right? Then you get to the middle of that sandwich, which is the meat of the constructive criticism. Here is an example, again, from that same letter. We want the reader to go on a journey with her, and she does change through the novel. But we also need them to see the vulnerability in her from the outset so that they care enough to go on this journey with her. So for me, that was an example of a bigger plot thread that I would have to bring through the entire novel. And then the end is the second slice of bread, which is usually another positive reinforcement of what was said or a new positive feedback. So the first thing I do in this step is to strip away that bread. I don't want any carbs in this sandwich. I want to get to that meat. That came out wrong. While the positive praise is amazing, it is not going to help me revise this book. But I do save those little nuggets of praise in a different document so that whenever I'm feeling really down about the book, I can go back and look at that, and it really helps boost my mood. Step number 5, bullet points. So once I strip away that bread, I do go through it again with a fine-tooth comb and strip out all of the commentary of the things that I need to fix. For example, in the third book of that trilogy, I received this in my edit letter. Also, I'm not doing spoilers, so I will be putting X's where the characters' names are, so you don't have to worry about me spoiling the book for you. So here we go. In the opening chapters, I didn't feel that I had a grasp of her feelings toward X. and whether she was happy to have been paired with him for bonding. She reflects on this on page 36, but I still don't have a sense of her true feelings toward him. So with that note, I would create a bullet point that just said, explain feelings for X around page 36. This way I can break down a 5 to 6 page revision letter down to 1 to 2 pages of everything that I need to fix without any distractions, and it makes this little list maker's brain very happy. Step number 6, rearrange the list into bigger plot points all the way down to scene level revisions. So after I've created this bullet list, I take all of the big picture plot points and put them at the top of the page because I do want to work on those first, and then work on the smaller scene level revisions later on, and those tend to go at the bottom of the page. So for example, a big picture note from the first book in the series would be Rose's fear of water as a continuing thread, where a smaller or scene level revision would be Rose does go to visit X quite a lot, so could you look at removing the scene with X as it doesn't hold up with the rest of the book? The reason I break it down this way is to address the bigger issues first, because as I'm addressing these things, they may affect the scene level changes. So it will be a complete waste of time for me to start at scene level when they do have the possibility of changing when I do the overarching bigger plot points. Step number 7. Read the entire manuscript through without stopping. So if I read a book on my computer, I tend to stop at every little problem and fix it as I go, which really slows the process. So either I print out the book, which I did do with this series of novellas because they were shorter, or with my full-length novels, I tend to put it on my Kindle so I don't waste paper. Though it is kind of annoying to take notes on my Kindle, I always have a notebook nearby ready to write down any thoughts that I have or changes that I want to make. So as I read through on either option, I take a ton of notes and see what I can change based on the revision letter or anything else I see that maybe was missed during the first draft. Step number 8. Dive into the manuscript with my notes and bullet list. Since I'm a chronological writer, I can't go through my manuscript for different reasons. So I know some authors will go through and look at just character or just plot or just subplot and things like that. I cannot do that. That is not how my brain works. I would love to be able to do that. I think it would make my job a lot easier, but unfortunately, I can't. This is the longest part of my process, but I love it because this is the point where I'm able to dive in and make the story the best it can be. Step number 9, reread the book. Again, since I hate to waste paper, this process is almost always on my Kindle. At this point, the bigger issues and the plot issues are already resolved, or should have been. So I go through the manuscript slowly to make sure that any changes that I did make are not still present in the manuscript, and all sentence structure issues are addressed. Step number 10, we made it! Now it's time to do a grammar check. So I like to use Grammarly, which is a plugin for Word, and the native spell check and the read aloud feature in Word during this step. This way, I'm able to put the book in a different format, which is audio, somewhat audio. It sounds like a robot voice, but it's fine. And I'm able to pick out spelling issues, grammar issues, issues where words are missing, maybe when I was doing my revision. So it really digs down into getting it as polished as it can be. And at that point, you either send back to your editor for another revision or critique partner, or pat yourself on the back for a job well done. So those are my 10 steps to revising my novel based on an edit letter. I hope one or more of these tips will help you during your revision process. So let me know in the comments below what your process looks like, if it looks close to mine or different. I'd love to start a conversation with you about revising. So if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you know the next time I post a video. I'll see you soon.